Hello everyone, this is Pal Ponder on Weather coming at you with another video. In today's update, we're going to be talking about potential tropical storm Epsilon that looks to form in the Caribbean next week as the tropics really start to heat up, and also another feature in the Atlantic that also looks to possibly form as well. So before I do get started, if you do like weather related content, please subscribe to my channel, as I will upload about 5 videos a week to keep you updated. And I do ask you to share this video with your friends and family that might be impacted from these potential storms. So let's kind of delve into the details and walk you kind of through this, how this is all going to play out. What we're looking at here this morning is the National Hurricane Outlook. For the next 5 days, they've highlighted 3 spots. Here's the Invest 93L that they've already had highlighted for the last couple days, but they also went ahead and featured this featured that we've been talking about for 2 days now, down in the Caribbean, down in by Belize, that potential development of Epsilon. But there's also another feature that could potentially form in maybe Zeta later on. So how this is going to play out, 93L is actually moving west-northwest, and it's getting sheared by strong upper-level winds. There's been a lot of sinking air over this region for the last week, but we're starting to make the transition from sinking air to rising air, and as this moves across west-northwest, this will actually get sheared off, but the remnants of 93L, a piece of it, will help feed this potential storm, and another piece will actually help feed this potential storm. If we take a look at the overall setup, and it's like, hey, I've kind of seen this play out. We've got a cold front coming in, and now we have potentially 2 tropical storms development. Well, we've already seen this movie twice before this year with a cold front coming in, ridge out west, diving down in the central part of the United States, causes divergence down below, have tropical storm. Then we had Sally form as well as Beta, kind of a 1-2 punch. And then we also had Gamma and Delta form kind of the same way with the same type of setup. And this is the same exact setup that we're going to basically have with this setup, with the heat out west, diving down in the middle with the cold trough, and then causing divergence underneath and causing that lift to create the tropical storm development. But if we take a look at the updated JMA, and this kind of tells the whole story, this model comes out every Thursday, and this is the latest update. So if you see from the 14th next week, from the next 7 days, if you kind of zero into this area, you can see the model has, these reds and yellows have sinking air, which really kind of suppresses the thunderstorms. But the blue has upward rising motion, rising air. So out of this region in the Gulf of Mexico, it's been fairly clear. But like I said, we're making that transition from the sinking air to the rising air motion over the next several days. By week 2, from the 21st onward, now we're starting to see those rising air motions over the Caribbean, over Cuba, Jamaica, Florida, upward along the East Coast. This is the area that we have potential tropical storm development. And then by week 3, man, it really starts to really amplify and really start to develop a lot of the blues over this area, out of the Caribbean, out of Florida, up the East Coast. So I would say we're going into a pretty active phase for tropical storm development from the 21st through about November 15th. So there's that sweet spot where we could have a very active time frame in the tropics, because here's the ocean heat content. And man, down south where these storms could potentially develop, here's Jamaica. I mean, we got some hot spots. I mean, you're talking 90-degree sea surface temperatures. This is just fuel to the fire. And all in this area is very warm for this time of year. And now that we really haven't had cold fronts reach all the way down to the deep south, all the way down to the tip of Florida. So it hasn't had time to cool off these waters, and especially along the coast. It's been a while. So even along the coast, along the southeast coast, but the tip of Florida, from central to South Florida, these waters are very warm. So all we need is some sort of development, and these would intensify in a big way if something were to develop. And by the 21st, the Climate Prediction Center has went ahead and put a high risk of tropical storm development around this same region that we've been talking about, by Honduras, by Belize, of something coming out of the tropics would be Epsilon by that time frame. And the same thing with the EPS probability guidance around the 21st, around the 22nd. It's starting to show even a higher probability of tropical storm development by that time. And once it develops, it's going to develop probably fairly quick. So that's why I'm giving you guys plenty of warning ahead, because there's not going to be a warning, too much of a warning after development. We didn't have much of a warning. If we would have waited, Delta went from a tropical depression to a Category 4 hurricane in 30 hours. You had, a little bit over a day, and that thing was already a Cat 4. So these things can develop fairly quick in a big way if the dynamics are right, and we're setting the stage for the dynamics to be ripe for tropical storm development by the middle of next week into next weekend. And you can even see this feature off the southwest coast in the Atlantic that has been highlighted as a little bit higher probability to develop as well. Now, depending on the speed of this front, how close does that feature get to the United States? Here's by the 26th. Here's the 200 millibar pattern. This, if that feature here, if it's able to cut in a little bit closer, then it would be able to ride up the East Coast. But if this comes in a little bit faster, it's going to basically swing it off to the northwest, but potentially still develop as a subtropical storm, and that could be Zeta at that time frame. If we take a look at the latest EPS cyclone guidance, this got even more members now than ever before of tropical storm development in this region, in the Caribbean, by Jamaica, by the Cayman Islands, by Cuba, of something coming out of this region, and even has even more members, even trying to take it into the Gulf now. And Florida is not out of the woods, So if you're in this area from Florida to Cuba, to the Cayman Islands, to Jamaica, especially Jamaica, I'll show you here in a little bit, in the Bahamas, this region would be under the gun of potential impacts from tropical storms from the 21st onward. If we take a look at the latest GEF ensemble member guidance, and this is even more bullish, taking more members in from the Caribbean through Jamaica, through Cuba, possibly into Florida as well. So that's why I was like, Florida is not out of the woods from tropical storm development for the rest of the year. You've been kind of, saving, you've been kind of like getting lucked out, getting missed, but your luck might run out with this particular storm. Just depends on how close it's able to get. But man, it's been a very active year. We've had a tropical storm, at least tropical storm or hurricane, hit the United States one a month since May. We had Bertha, we had Cristobal, we had Faye, and then we had Hannah, Isaiah, Marco, Laura, Sally, Beta, Delta. It's been 10 storms. This has actually broken the record from 1916. So we had 10 landfall storms for the U.S. And could we have another one? So that's what we're looking at coming up. But here's the overall guidance and how this might play out. Here's the latest GFS guidance. Here's that potential highlighted storm from the National Hurricane Center where they have highlighted now. This is the other feature that they also have highlighted. This is by the 21st. So everything is basically set from the 21st onward as these things really start to get ramped up after that time frame. And if we take it out another frame, now by Friday, the 23rd, this would be a tropical storm by that point. And this could also be a tropical storm, maybe taking on subtropical characteristics at that point. Like I mentioned, just depends on how close that this system would maybe be undercutted. Does it actually move up the East Coast, or does that 200 millibar pattern, the other trough or cold front that's going to be coming into the United States by that time frame, push it off to sea? But this feature right here, which would be Epsilon, would push it further northward, and this really starts to amplify after the 23rd, and by next weekend we could be looking at a formidable hurricane over Jamaica. So I know Jamaica's been kind of in the crosshairs for the last several model runs, and like I said, if this is going to develop down here by Honduras, and once it starts getting its act together, it's get its act together really quick in a big way, and this would take it right over the island of Jamaica. And then of course it's the right front quadrant too. So just because the eye might not be over, you would get the most impact from this storm. And then this would lift off further off to Cuba and even develop it even higher. So just because this particular model run has it taken over Cuba, this area still has to be under the gun for potential impacts. But I do think we'll be looking at a hurricane being impacted. Jamaica, if you're in Jamaica, if you're in the Cayman Islands, if you're in the Grand Cayman Islands, if you're in Cuba, if you're in South Florida, if you're in the Bahamas, you got to be on the lookout from the 21st onward, from the middle of next week through next weekend, of this potential storm impacting your area. So I appreciate you guys watching this video. Please like it. Please leave your comments below and share with your friends on social media. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel to catch the latest updates, where you can catch me in the next video where I protect you before and after the storm.